Good evening, parents. This video is going to be my attempt at trying to show you around on Skyward, both in my view and then more importantly, the view that you'll see when you look at your child's Skyward. I know this is a big change, but I really believe that this is something that's going to give you more information as you go through the year. We just got to get away from the A, B, C, D, and F's scenarios. So I'm going to take a look at this. This is my classroom. My classroom is broken down into science standards in life, physical, and we have earth standards right here. So they're broken down into those four disciplines, including engineering. And each one of those has a number of standards, 2, 3, or 4 in that area of science that they need to show that they have understood that standard. And the way we do that are assessments, these white columns that are assessments based on that standard. So a student could have 3 or 4 or 5 opportunities to show demonstrate understanding and knowledge of a particular standard, and be it might take 4, 5, 6 weeks or even longer, but we can still go back and show that they have that knowledge. So the other one I want to show you here is learning category. The learning category is where your day-to-day stuff goes. It is attached to a standard, but it's the place that if I'm a parent, I'm checking here. Is my student, my child, turning in assignments as time goes on through the school year? We don't have trimesters anymore. We don't have grading periods necessarily anymore. So the beautiful thing about that is the student can demonstrate to me in the spring that they of a standard that we're doing right now, that they just weren't ready to really understand how it worked. And so that's, to me, that's pretty exciting. We're not bound by trimesters and grades being due and entered. So real quickly, I want to go through this. The ME you see here stands for meet standards. The PR that you see here's a couple over here, they stand for progressing towards standard. The BE stands for below standard, and the IN is insufficient data. Now the INs could also be missing. So there could be, if you look at it, it could say it's IN, but it's missing. So the IN also could say it's missing. So this is how we're going to evaluate students when they turn in work. I know most parents are used to 1, 2, 3, 4. And essentially, that's kind of the way it is, but it just has letters and numbers. So you would be able to go in here and look. The goal is to get all the students at MEs all the way across. That means they meet the standard that's expected of them, and that's great news. All these standards here that are next, so these white standards are underneath the physical science and underneath this particular standard in that. So that's kind of what I kind of want to set up, what it looks like from my point of view in my grade book and how it's set up. And now the next part of this video, we're going to get into what it looks like in your child's Skyward, which is what you really want to see. Okay, we're back. So this is a look inside a student's Skyward account. It's very different than what it used to be. What I've done here is I've kind of folded up these arrows here to collapse other classes. That way to hide, we don't need to see all of those for right now because it's basically the same for all your classes. So let's just take a look at science here really quick. So here are those branches of science: earth science standard there, 3 life science standards, 1 physical science standard, and there's actually 4 engineering and technology standards. And then here are your learning opportunities. So that's what we're kind of staring at right now. This T1, T2, right now, I think we're not supposed to really worry about that, although there is some talk about the possibility of having some moments, some focus moments, like after T1, after the first 6 or 7 weeks, where we really put a focus out to parents to check this. But for right now, we're just looking at this column here. So in my earth science, if I click on this, what I think is a book, it tells me, or you, what the earth science model or earth science standard is. Use a model and data to describe how the role of water cycle and energy from the sun drives the weather on the earth. So it just tells you very specifically what the actual standard is. And then if I have given assessments for this standard, you'd see these scored in these boxes here. So let's bounce down to physical science. We've done this so far. So the the standard for physical science that we're working on right now is to demonstrate the understanding of its structure and the properties of matter and chemical reactions. And to do that, they need to design a model to show that. And to do that, I have two different times we've attempted to, students have had the opportunity to address that standard. The student in this particular one, States of Matter, was a PR, and this one, which was progressing, and this is ME, which is what we want students at. That's meets standard. So let's say I have 4 or 5 or 6 different assessments or activities to help demonstrate that standard. If they get insufficient data on all of them except for the last one, they really get it, they get an meet standard, then that's the final entry, is meet standard. It's not an average of those, it's what do they actually, when they get it, do they understand it? And so that would be an ME. So you'll start seeing assignments listing down here under T1. You'll see a lot more as the school year goes on, like the learning opportunities down here. So here are the assignments that are just kind of the day-to-day things I shared with you earlier in the when you look at my screen. So I think this is a good look at what's going to happen, and every class is basically the same way. I think as a parent, the first place I would go is down here. Are they getting things day to day turned in, day to day assignments? And every teacher's different with that. The other thing for you to know is ME is what we're looking for across the board, meet standard across the board. And any of these standards can be addressed anytime during the year. Again, we're not locked down to trimesters, which I'm excited about that. I think anything else I need to say about that? I'm not sure. If there's anything else, if you get in here and start looking and you get a question, please shoot me an email, and I will address your question the best I can. I like this. I like how easy it is for students to see what they understand about a particular standard. It's just that we have to kind of get used to it. Again, if you have any questions, please let me know, and I will get back to you as soon as possible. Thank you.